friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the topic of what could be the yogas which could help someone build an empire. So now guys, as you know that whatsoever topic I pick, I always have a backstory to support that. What led me towards selecting that topic? So recently the author of this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he made this statement, like the guy who inspired millions all across the globe, made this statement that I am having too much debt on my name. So after that, so many people started like making videos on his life story and how his work has inspired so many people in their chosen field. So that only gave me this inspiration that from astrology as well, there could be certain combinations which could help you build an empire or succeed in life or do something very magnanimous in a very short span of time. So in this video, we will have our discussion on that only. And like the way guys, you know this thing that whenever we talk about these kind of case studies, more than the yogas which you have in your chart, it's the time period which matters the most. It means you have an exalted planet, but unless and until that exalted planet has not got activated in its time period, it will be helpless to give you any good results. So definitely in this video, we will take into consideration everything, and the way I will be like executing this topic is that we will cover all the 9 planets that bases the planetary innate qualities, its placement, nakshatra involvement. How can that planet help you build an empire? And guys, let me clarify this whole term of empire as well. Like with empire, I meant that let's say for example, you have been operating on a very small scale. In a short span of time, you turned it into a very multi-million business venture, or you were operating from a very small shop and you turned it into a very big franchisee business with your businesses presence in different cities, in different countries as well. So when we talk about these kind of success stories, how can planets help you achieve that? So okay guys, now we will first start our discussion that when we talk about the role of the planetary houses. So we all know this thing that your ascendant has to be in a strengthened state, and after that definitely guys, it's your, I would say, the upachya bhavas which plays a very important role. So I mean to say 3rd house, 6th house, 10th house and 11th house plays a very important role, and you can also include the 7th house in that as well. Now guys, let's start picking up all the planets one by one. Now when we talk about the role of sun in that, so first of all, whenever you have to see the strength of any planet, all what you have to do is that you have to relate it or see it from the point of view of the original Kal Purush Kundli. Now we all know this thing that sun attains exaltation in the 1st house, it gets the directional strength, it gets very strengthened whenever it is in the 1st house. And we all know this thing that sun has got its natural house which is connected with the 5th house. So that means that if you have your sun placed in the 1st house, you have your sun placed in the 5th house, it is placed in the 10th house, then this could be a good indication that if your sun dasha will come, it can manifest your dreams, it can help you succeed in the life. Now second thing is that we all know that sun ruled nakshatras are Kritika, Uttara Falguni, Uttara Shada. So let's say for example, your important planets are also placed in the nakshatra of the sun. So in the sun dasha, they will also get activated, and the result will be delivered from the point or from the place where sun is going to be placed in your chart. So these are certain alignments via which in the dasha of the sun you can actually succeed or you can do something big in your life. Now guys, when we talk about like in what form success comes through sun, or what has to be your approach, your mindset, or what kind of vibration, energy or people or occupation can help you succeed whenever sun is activated in your life. So now guys, you know this thing that sun in a way represents your public image. Sun in itself represents government. Sun represents all the ruling classes, like all the important prominent people in the society. So let's say for example, if you are in a line of work where dealing, collaborating or hobnobbing with the important people, successful people, people connected with government is possible, then this could be responsible for your success. And guys, a lot many times people get confused that whenever we talk about originality, sun plays a very important role over there. Like it's the light generated by sun only which all other planets reflect. So let's say for example, if you're working in a domain where you're doing something which is very original, So I would say this thing that in the sun period, and if sun gets activated in your chart, it is placed in these houses which I mentioned. This could be first house, fifth house, or 10th house, and it is also placed in a favorable sign, the sign of exaltation, in its own sign, in the sign of its friends, like in the sign of Mars, Jupiter, this could be moon as well. Then we could say this thing that yes, your chances of attaining success is going to be very high in the time period of this planet. And definitely guys, whatever comes to you in the time period of sun, so there will be attached a name, fame, recognition with that as well. Now guys, when we talk about the role of moon for that, so we all know this thing that in the original Kalpurush Kundi, you always have to relate the chart or relate the planet with the original Kalpurush Kundi. So we all know this thing that moon attains exaltation in the second house. Moon has got affinity with the fourth house. So if your moon is placed in these kind of alignments, these could be a very good indication. After that, all the innate qualities of moon. So we all know this thing that moon also commands over public. Moon also commands over travels, import, export, medicine, food. So if you are operating in these domain and your moon dasha came, because we all know this thing that moon dasha is not as long as if we are gonna compare it with like the dasha of the planet Saturn, which stays for like almost 19 years of period of the time. So if moon is very well placed in your chart and you're doing something which is connected with creativity, which is something created with import, export, travels, catering to the need of the masses, then I would say this thing that this dasha can actually help you succeed, or you can do something very good. Like the way I started this video with the reference of the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So definitely if you even have to become a motivational speaker, you have to become a writer or something, so in the moon dasha, and if moon is very well placed in your chart, the houses which I mentioned, along with that, let's say for example your important planets are placed in the Rohini nakshatra, Hasta nakshatra, Shravana nakshatra, then all these nakshatra and the planets sitting over there in the moon dasha, they will also get activated. So chances of attaining success in the time period of the moon tend to remain very high. Now guys, when we talk about how Mars can help you, so now guys, definitely in the original Kalpurush Kundli, if you have to relate it with that, if your Mars is very well placed in your first house, if your Mars is very well placed in your 8th house, if your Mars is very well placed in the 10th house, this is a very first very good validation. I always say this thing, if you have to relate, break it down, planet represents energy, zodiac sign represents the theme or how the planet will manifest that energy, but the actual result always comes from the house. House becomes very important, nakshatra becomes very important. So a lot many times we forgive this thing that we only look at that the planet is in this zodiac sign, we do not even see in which nakshatra, in which house, in which Navamsa it is placed. So lot many things goes into consideration while decoding the result of any planet. So yes guys, if you have your Mars placed in this alignment, along with that, let's say for example your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the Mars, like Mrikshira, Chitra, Dhanishta, along with that you're doing something where construction, real estate, manpower management, athletics, doing something which requires or need very technical, mechanical skills, too much of the problem solving, logical mind, along with that fearlessness. Or when we talk about the support of the brotherhood, like guys, if I were to pick any one planet which represents the masculinity in its purest form, that is definitely the planet Mars. So if there is something where you are operating in a field where brotherhood, support of your clan, or support of your friends and siblings, your rapport in the market, if all that is needed, and definitely all the professions connected with the planet Mars, where we talk about engineering, mechanical work, or construction, real estate and all, so definitely in the Mars time period you can actually attain success. Definitely guys, in whichever profession you have to succeed, there is always a planet which is seen as the significator, a karaka of that business. Like the way I still remember when the top name in the Indian realty came, So one of the prominent name was this business man. He's from Mumbai. His name is Mangal Prabhat Lodha, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So Mangal, again, the name of the planet Mars. So yes, if you have to succeed in these fields which I mentioned, your Mars is very well placed. And again, guys, when we talk about the window of opportunity which open in the dasha of the planet Mars, that tend to remain of a very short span of time, because Mars dasha is of a very small period. So because of which, whatever you have to do, you have to be very proactive, you have to be very quick. Now guys, when we talk about how Mercury can help you build an empire, definitely guys, in today's day and age, if I were to pick the favorite planets, definitely it's the Mercury, it's the Venus, Saturn, Rahu, which are actually responsible for giving someone windfall gains when we talk about the super riches. So definitely guys, if in your chart your Mercury is placed in, let's say for example, it is placed in the 3rd house, it is placed in the 6th house, it is placed in the 7th house, it is placed in the 10th house or the 11th house, and it is placed in a favorable sign, your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the planet Mercury. Like they are placed in the Ashlesha, they are placed in the Jyeshtha, they are placed in the Revati, and along with that your Mercury dasha comes and you are engaged in something where public speaking or selling your courses online, or something to do with accountancy, banking, investment management, being a linguistic expert, being a performing artist. So definitely in the Mercury dasha, chances of attaining success tend to remain very strong. So again guys, now even when we talk about the people and the entities which are connected with the planet Mercury, because when Mercury will get activated in your life, those people will start, the energy of those people will start surrounding you. You would not believe, after doing my MBA, after like getting my PR, but even at the prime of my Saturn dasha, when I moved to Canada initially, and like for a long span of time, I ended up doing menial jobs, and obviously there is a respect attached to all the work, but I never would have imagined, but it's the Saturn dasha, it ended up taking me to those places which the energy of which is being represented by the planet Saturn. So in this context, when we talk about Mercury, so definitely and that is the only reason why Mercurian tend to remain very good in business, because their vibration in itself is they are very good in talking, right use of words, they are very quick to act, they are very friendly, always very ready to travel, to learn something very new, always very curious. And along with that, whenever Mercury gets active, you will also be surrounded by these kind of similar vibration of the energies. So hobnobbing with the like-minded, business-minded people tend to remain very strong whenever Mercury is operating over you. Now guys, when we talk about the planet Jupiter, how can Jupiter help you over there? So definitely guys, now we know this thing that if we have to go by the doctrine of the Kalpurush Kundli, so Jupiter definitely, if it is placed in your 9th house, if it is placed in your 12th house, if it is placed in your 4th house, that is considered as a very good placement of the planet Jupiter. Or let's say for example, if your important planets, this could be ascendant lord, this could be ascendant, this could be your 10th house lord, if your important planets are also placed in the nakshatra of the planet Jupiter, like in the Punarvasu nakshatra, Vishakha nakshatra, Purvhadrapada nakshatra, it is a very good indication. And you're doing something which is connected with the, like when we talk about training, educating, finance, investment, guiding people, mentoring people, because again guys, in today's day and age, we all know that how the online like fintech industry you talk about, or the education industry, where majority of the coachings these days are happening online, and all of these businesses have now become unicorn. So I mean to say that if Jupiter is operating over you and all the eligibilities which I just mentioned is getting fulfilled in your case, your important planets are placed in the Jupiter nakshatra, your Jupiter is placed in the 4th house, 9th house, 12th house, or even 11th house, 1st house, and you are operating in the domain of the planet Jupiter, this could be a very good indication. And again guys, the good thing about the Jupiter being active over you is that, like the way I mentioned, in the Mercury time period, you will be surrounded by the business minded people, but they might be as opportunistic as you are. But whenever Jupiter is operating over you, you're always surrounded by the right sort of advisor, mentors, and people who have got a very pious intention and very pious vibe. surrounding them. So in this regard, Jupiter's time period operating over you, and in today's day and age, amassing fortune in the dasha of the planet Jupiter can happen this way, which I mentioned, if you are also operating in the energy or the field connected with the planet Jupiter, which has to do with finance, teaching, training, theology, religion, mentoring people. So this could be a good way of finding success. Now guys, when we talk about all of our favorite planet Venus, which in itself represents riches. So let's say, for example, as per the Kalpurush Kundli, if your Venus is placed in the second house, if it is placed in your 7th house, and if it is placed in your 12th house, and you can also include the 11th house as well, then this could be a very good indication that if, let's say for example, your Venus dasha will get activated, because Venus dasha tend to remain for the longest span of time. Second thing is that your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the Venus, like Bharani, Purva Falguni, Purva Shadha. Your important planets are placed in that, and along with that you are operating in the domain of the planet Venus. And again guys, when we talk about the Venusian energy getting activated over you, so you kind of become like a money magnet. You automatically attract people who are very rich, who are very helpful, who are very supportive towards you, who are very cordial with their personality, with their interpersonal behavior and all. So if you're operating in the fields connected with the Venus, this could be revenue, this could be insurance, this could be fashion, this could be beauty products, cosmetic products, you are an artist, you have an event management, hospitality business, hotel business, in whichever domain you are operating. But if you are operating in the domain of the Venus, your Venus is very well placed, the 2nd house, 7th house, 12th house, 11th house, chances of finding success in the dasha of the planet Venus tend to remain very strong. And again guys, you know this thing that Venus dasha is so long that whatsoever you will initiate for that objective of yours, to take it to the completion, you will definitely get a very good span of time period to do that. So this is how you can find success. And definitely guys, all the vibration which is being represented by the planet Venus. So to begin with, all the feminine energy is being represented by the Venus. So all the females in your life, this could be your partner, this could be your colleagues, this could be your mother in any form. Now definitely mother is represented with the moon, but anything female is connected with the planet Venus. Perfume, fragrances, rich people, prominent people, very successful people are somehow connected with the planet Venus. Now when we talk about the planet Saturn, the planet of greatness, now a lot many times people are in this mindset that definitely if Saturn is operating over you, your life will slow down. Whatever you will try to achieve, you have to work hard, and the delivery of the result will be delayed for sure. But because Saturn is a planet of justice, it can delay, but Saturn never denies. And again guys, when we talk about having a mass appeal, something which is connected with the planet Saturn, something when we talk about you being respected in your line of work, you are being looked as a source of inspiration, motivation. Saturn has to be in a strengthened state in someone's chart to grant all of those gifts. So definitely guys, as per the Kalpurush Kundli, if your Saturn is very well placed in the 7th house, it is very well placed in the 10th house, in the 11th house, rather I would say even the 3rd house, so it is a very good validation. Your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the planet Saturn, like in the Pushya nakshatra, in the Anuradha nakshatra, in the Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra. This could be a very good indication. And you're doing something which is connected with like politics, which is connected with labor management, or which is connected with very iron, oil, all these kind of industries. Then I would say this thing that in the Saturn time period, chances of finding success tend to remain very, very strong. And definitely guys, when we talk about the people who represent Saturnian energy, so these are those people, because see guys, understand this thing, a lot many times what happens is that people who are prominent, people who are very well settled, a lot many times these are among those people who will not be that loyal and that rigid when it comes down to reciprocating your goodness. But when we talk about the way someone with a very minimum life's needs getting fulfilled, or someone who's living a very humble life, and if these people, like you do something good for them, these are among those people who will never forget that. Like the way guys, that is what we say, that whenever any election happens, whether in India or any part of the world, it's not the elites who always give 100% voting presence. It's only the poor people who turn out. And whenever there's some election campaigning or rally happening, it's only the poor who goes there in the crowd to listen that today they might be saying something, they might be delivering some promise for my bright future, for me, for my kids. So I mean to say, Saturn represents all these kind of people. And if Saturn represents integrity, if Saturn represents respect and command, so you will be surrounded by people who might not be very rich, affluent, but they will be very loyal and they will be ready to sacrifice anything for your sake. So that kind of energy and that kind of people are being represented by the planet Saturn. And whenever Saturn will be operating over you, you will be surrounded by these kind of people or these kind of force. And definitely guys, the Saturnian profession, all the occult business, all the tantra, mantra, yoga, adhyatma, meditation, travel, iron, mineral, ore, all these businesses, oil, everything is connected with the planet Saturn. In whichever capacity you're operating in these businesses, then definitely Saturn is operating over you. And if Saturn Dasha come, it is placed in these houses, in a favorable sign, important planets are in the Saturnian nakshatra, then chances to attain greatness or build something big tend to remain very strong for you. Now guys, when we talk about the Rahu and Ketu, our favorite. So guys, I always say this thing, that when we talk about the nodes, there is always a karmic energy attached to them. Like the way all the 7 planets which we have discussed so far, your say and your free will somehow operates in these 7 planets. There is a jurisdiction or domain or range over which the energy of these 7 planets operate. But when we talk about the domain of the nodes, it is something which is invisible. It is something which is very highly karmic, where you do not have any control. Like nodes can make someone from rich to pauper, or from pauper to rich in a span of time, in a very short span of time. So again, in terms of Rahu and Ketu, more than your free will, it's the karmic energy, the universal vibration, a path being laid in front of you, that will matter a lot. Now definitely picking up Rahu as per the Kalpurush Kundli principle, if your Rahu is placed in the second house, in the third house, in the 6th house, in the 10th house, in the 11th house, it is a very good combination. Your important planets are placed in the Ardhara nakshatra, in the Swati nakshatra, in the Sadbisha nakshatra. And again guys, all these 3 nakshatras have got a league of their own. Like Ardhara is something where lot many people in the casino business, in the lottery business, in the tobacco industry, I've seen them becoming millionaires. Like when we talk about the influence of the Swati, definitely all the rich elite people of the world, all the big prominent politicians and all the elite of the elites are somehow connected with the Swati. And when we talk about Sadbisha is a very esoteric, mysterious, where surrender to the universe is very, very needed, very strongly needed. Your free will actually diminishes a lot if Sadbisha is chiefly operating over you. So and definitely guys, if you're working in the domain of technology, innovation, something which is very unique, something which is very innovative, something which has got a mass appeal, so definitely chances of attaining success if Rahu is placed in these houses. And let's say for example Rahu is conjunct with a own sign placed planet, or Rahu is conjunct with a exalted planet, or Rahu's sign lord is exalted, then all of that is a very, very strong validation. But again, when Rahu operates over you, it only sends you 2 places. Either it will send you towards riches, or it sends you to a mental hospital, mental asylum. So again, in which way you are utilizing this energy, it will be dependent on you. And definitely guys, whenever Rahu energy is operating over you, you will be surrounded by a very cosmopolitan environment. Your life circumstances will be changing very strongly, very frequently. So you never have to resist any change. Guys, if I were to give my own example, never have I ever attended any school drama, college drama, anything. But life put me in a situation where I have to perform in front of all the professional working actors. I gave my best. So this is what Rahu is about. It's like not resisting any change. Always open towards new experiences, experiments and all, whatever life is throwing at you. Now guys, when we talk about the time period of the Ketu, so definitely if your Ketu is placed in the 9th house, your Ketu is placed in the 12th house, and your Ketu is also placed in the, like I would rather say, even the 10th house and the 11th house Ketu, and if it gets activated in its time period, it is a very good indication. Your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of Ashwini, Magha, Mula. It is a very good indication. So again guys, when we talk about Ketu, I always say this thing, that Ketu can make you a specialist. Ketu can give you a monopoly in your line of work. Like the way guys, you would take so many examples in Indian cricket, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, in you talk about in soccer as well, in football, the name of Cristiano Ronaldo. So lot many people have always favored number 7, whether in the jersey which they wear or their birth dates turn out to be number 7. So definitely 7 has got a appeal where it touches someone's soul. Only this is a kind of a vibration, like the way we say this thing, that there are like those kind of musicians whose music makes very calms you down, but there are like certain musicians, their music just makes you groove, makes you move. So that is the kind of energy or vibration which is attached with the Ketu. It has got this capacity to actually move someone to the core. And again guys, with Ketu there is a lot of the past life talents which also come into the picture as well. So if your Ketu is placed in the houses which I mentioned, it is your important planets are placed in the nakshatra of the Ketu. And if Ketu Dasha comes, and again guys, Ketu Dasha is not like of Rahu Dasha, it's a very short span of time, like almost around like 7 years and all. So whatever you have to do, you have to be very fast. And definitely in the, whenever Ketu is in operating over you, in that time period, staying respectful towards your ancestors, staying respectful towards your family tradition, culture and all becomes very important. And definitely if you are operating in the fields connected with the Ketu, like this could be in Ayurveda, medicine, yoga, healing, something to do with the genetics, something to do with the, so all these things which takes you to the core, to the DNA, to the core of something, that is the domain of the Ketu. So definitely guys, and also staying very much respectful towards nature, towards animals in all the form. You might have very big and strong business aspiration, and in order to set up that mall, you want to destroy that community, that nature and all that greenery, Ketu will not be happy with you. So all of that you have to also take into consideration whenever Ketu is operating over you. So yes guys, this was a small video which I wanted to say. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Instagram. Follow my Instagram account. Thanks a lot.